Hi, everybody. It's International Women's Day, and I'm not going to any special events, unfortunately, today. I can't make it, but I thought I would make a YouTube video because I have lots to say about equality for men and women. I have lots to say about the power of women and women's issues. And if you're a man or another type of gender listening to this, I welcome you to listen in as well. It's not just for women, it's for everyone because I want to raise awareness of where places have sexist ideas or where people have sexist views. And we need to all be aware of that. Not just women to be aware of that, but men and other genders because it affects everyone, especially if you want equal rights for everyone. You need to address these issues. So, International Women's Day. Some people say, well, what about Men's Day? You're not being fair to the men. And my friend Alicia actually raised a good point. She said, all you men complaining that there is no Men's Day, there actually is an International Men's Day, but you just don't have enough women to help you organize something to celebrate it. And you guys don't even know when International Men's Day is because you never looked. And so, if you really want an International Men's Day, I think men should get together and, organize something, just like women organize something for International Women's Day. But probably Women's Day is more popular only because in the history of time, women have been a lot less valued in general. So that's why we need a Women's Day to remind us that women should be treated equal to men. I mean, think about how many countries girls don't get to go to school. The boys are favored. And the boys, especially in China, are much more valued than girls. So back when they had the one-child policy, if the pregnant lady found out she was pregnant with a girl, she would probably abort it if she bought into that whole ideal of men being more important. So a lot of girls were in the orphanages and a lot of girls were aborted. And that's not fair, right? Now China has so much more men and so much less women, and it's just weird. Because now, what the heck are you going to do if you're a man and can't find a wife? Then you're screwed. Anyways, historically, women have been treated more inferior. And I also want to comment on, for example, the Bible. Now, some of you know I used to be a pastor, a youth pastor, in fact, and I went to Tyndale for Bible school. What I call Bible school, but the official word is seminary, whatever. So in the Bible, there is sexism, obviously, because the Bible is so old and it records the Israelite culture that is old. So, for example, when Jesus would meet with women, a lot of the women's names are not written down in the Bible. They mainly mention the men's names, but they don't mention the women's names as much. Another thing is, in Paul's writings, Apostle Paul, St. Paul, he wrote some pretty sexist stuff, like, for example, that women should be quiet in church. And there was that whole controversy of, okay, what does that really mean? And some churches, such as the Brethren churches, they actually take that literally. And, when the women go to church in a Brethren denomination, they're not allowed to talk. Isn't that weird? Like, only the men are allowed to talk. But that's their religion, right? Me, I didn't grow up in a Brethren church. I grew up in a Baptist church. But if you looked at the leaders, most of them were men. And me, I wanted to be a woman pastor, which, people are like, are you sure? Like, you're a woman. So I tried my best, to help with church and stuff. And mainly women pastors are put in the children's ministry, which means, they deem women more suitable for just helping children. So women should not, be so high up there that they can teach a man. In fact, there's a Bible verse about that. I do not permit a woman to have authority over a man. That's what the Bible says. So, me being a youth pastor, I was, helping with the teenagers and helping with the children, which is awesome, in my opinion. But I was not allowed to be, like, for example, the head pastor. It's very rare to see a woman being a head pastor, like the leader, top leader. So I want to talk about that. I had a friend who is a man, and he was commenting on his woman pastor because his church used to be with multiple pastors, multiple leaders, and one of them was a woman. So this man, friend of mine, he said, according to the Bible, a woman should not be a pastor. That's what I believe. But when I listen to Pastor so-and-so's lessons, I feel very moved. I feel very, connected emotionally. And I'm like, you just kind of contradicted yourself right there, because you just said that women should not be pastors. However, you feel moved and inspired when you listen to this woman pastor. So what the heck are you thinking? Anyways, I kept my mouth shut. And yeah, I do respect women pastors and women leaders in general, and women CEOs. I mean, have you heard about that statistic where the number of men CEOs named James outnumbers the amount of women CEOs, period? Like, there are so many men CEOs, obviously, but the number of male CEOs named James, like that particular name, outnumbers all women CEOs. So think about how little women CEOs there are out there. And I think women leaders sometimes are highly sexualized too, because I read in the United States there are a few women pastors, and by the way, they operate on their own. They don't operate out of a church. They operate like on TV, like for example Joyce Meyer, Paula White. Like, they were not accepted to be a top leader in church, so they made their own church, and they would rent stadiums and be filmed and go on YouTube, etc., because they had something to say and they wanted to be a leader, but the church rejected them. So these women leaders, actually one of them, Paula White, she mentioned how when men pastors would meet her, they would make weird sexist comments like, oh, at least you look better than Joyce Meyer. And that's so rude, right? Like, why would you focus on how the woman looks? You just met her. You should be commenting on how great her speeches are or how great her knowledge is. You shouldn't be commenting on their body or like what they look like. And it's just totally unfair that women are sexualized. And some of you know I used to be a model, so that was fun until I got raped. But I still don't regret it. I loved modeling. And I think in the modeling world, of course, there's fashion modeling and let's say jewelry modeling, shoes modeling, whatever. But because of the rise of Instagram, it's getting more and more sexualized, and all girls are now trying to be sexy and show their bodies more. And I was encouraged by one of the photographers. I won't mention his name, but obviously it's not a close friend of mine. He actually told me that, I would probably get more famous if I took off my clothes. And I was originally not going to take off my clothes. Like, I was originally just going to model dresses and stuff. I didn't feel comfortable taking off her clothes. But then when I started taking off her clothes, it almost became like an addiction because, you know, people would be like, oh, so sexy, like all these comments, right? Oh, gorgeous, hot, whatever. And then that attention kind of, gets addictive. So I did do some nude modeling and I did do some boudoir, bikini, whatever. But it's weird because nude modeling, you get a lot more money. Like, for example, I would get $80 per hour doing nude modeling. So, the money is also attractive, like, especially to a woman who has mental health issues, has trouble, stabilizing a job. Like, for me, as a poor person, I'm on social assistance. Sorry, I can't speak. I'm on social assistance and it's not enough. So, the attraction of nude modeling kind of sucked me in because I wanted to look gorgeous, I wanted to be proud of my body and I wanted to get paid for it, right? But like sadly, I ended up getting raped, and some of you know that I did report it to the police, but the detective said there wasn't enough evidence. And later on, I researched on the news, and I found out that in Toronto, 30 women were molested by this one man who worked for the RCMP. He was a doctor working for the RCMP, and 30 women came forward saying this man molested them. And that's shocking. Like 30 women going to police saying that, they've got molested. But this stupid RCMP doctor man was still, able to relax at home and retire well because the police decided to say, oh my God, there's not enough evidence. Nah, nah, nah. Okay, 30 women came forward. Isn't that enough evidence? And then Carson was telling me, Carson's my boyfriend, it's all because of those girls that cry rape when it's not even rape. Well, partially, yes. Like, there are some girls that accuse guys of rape, and that's not fair if they didn't actually do it. And those particular girls could ruin it for people like me, right? Like, I'm not lying about the rape, but the girls who did lie about the rape and got found out that they were lying, obviously makes it hard for the police to believe me now. But I also think it's not just because of those lying girls. I also think it's because the police also want to protect themselves. They don't want to, put a man in jail because it's just my word against his. But it's just unfair, like if someone, punch you in the face and you say, oh, it was so and so, you take them at their word, right? Like, and I would say, hey, so and so raped me, and then they don't, take me at my word. Like, for example, when Carson, my boyfriend, got attacked by a few men, like at the bus stop in Argyle Mall, at least they believed him and charged those guys with assault. But in my case, my rapist gets free pass, like he can enjoy life now or something. So it's just unfair. And I want to raise these issues because women get raped a lot more than men do. Granted, some men do get raped too, and I feel bad for those. And I would definitely want to stand up for, boys who got raped. But girls get raped more often, and that's something we should all be aware of, and we should not encourage the culture of not believing a woman who's saying that she got sexually assaulted. Most women who get sexually assaulted, they don't tell anyone because they're scared no one will listen. And that sucks because it's 2019. We should have a voice as women. We should be believed. At least believe us first, and then, if I was lying, then prove me wrong. But, don't just discount someone's story just because it's a story, right? Like, do you want me to, like, grab some of his, jizz and show you? Is that going to give you evidence? Like, how am I supposed to prove it? They were looking inside my Facebook trying to look for evidence for a rape. Who the hell is going to admit on Facebook that they're going to rape you? No one. So why would you look in Facebook for evidence of a rape? That's just stupid. So, anyways, enough about the rape. I want to also talk about equal rights. Equal rights. Because feminism has become pretty powerful in the recent years, and some men have complained saying some women are like way too extremist. And I do understand, like, you shouldn't say that women are better than men, that's for sure. Men are just as good as women, and for the most part, right? And we should have equal rights. But equal rights does not mean equal ability. And that's what some people have not been able to grasp is, for example, in the Olympics, men would run faster than women for the most part, right? And they would be able to lift more weight, like weightlifting, more than women. So in that case, men are different than women because men have biologically more muscles. So yes, men and women are different, but at the same time, we should have equal rights. Like, think about how in Canada at the beginning, when people started voting, women were not allowed to vote. So, in that case, quite a few women gathered together and tried to fight that and say, hey, we're women, but we need, the right to vote. So, thankfully that went through, and now women and men are allowed to vote. So these kind of things, we should celebrate feminism for these, successes that women were able to stand up for themselves and be able to, voice their opinions. And I totally do not agree with, women should be silent in churches. It's just like, okay, why would you want a woman to be silent anyways? Like, are you afraid that she'll be smarter than you? So yeah. Another issue I want to raise is mental health issues. So I studied psychology in the University of Toronto and I majored in it. And it did say in the statistics that women have more mental health issues than men in general. And the statistics may say that because women are more pressured to look good, do a lot of things. Like, there's a lot of stress on women to be perfect and to look beautiful, to look sexy, to be the best, um, you know, this and that. And I think that when girls suffer from bad self-esteem, it can turn into a mental health issue. And another thing that could have made the statistics, a bit skewed is women tend to seek help more than men. So if a woman is, depressed or, not sleeping well or thinks that they might have a mental health issue, they will be more likely to go to a counselor, a doctor, and talk about it versus a man. They may feel like they have to keep it inside because men are socialized to, look strong and stuff. So in that case, I do encourage, women and men to seek help for mental health because mental health is for everyone and we should raise awareness of that. And next thing is women entrepreneurs. So I've met quite a few women entrepreneurs and it's been wonderful seeing their motivation and like, some are very successful and some are very determined. It's really inspiring. But I also want to say that there was one day where I heard a sexist comment, not coming from a man, but coming from a woman. And that lady, I won't say her name, said, oh, men are more reliable. I don't really know if women are reliable because, they never reply. Okay, I was like, wait, you're a woman and you're talking bad about women. Like, saying that women are not reliable? Are you saying that I'm not reliable too, or you're not reliable? That's a sexist comment right there, saying that men are more reliable. I mean, women can be more emotional sometimes. I grant that we have hormones going on, like our periods, blah blah blah, um, and we're socialized to be more emotional as well. So I mean, there's a chance that, she's too busy with her kids, so that's why she's not replying. I'm not sure. But it's not fair to say that men are more reliable than women, because now you're saying men are better than women, and you're a woman, and that doesn't make sense. So I would say, believe in yourself as a woman entrepreneur if you're a woman. And if you're a man, don't think that you're better than women. You're just as smart as them, and they're just as smart as you. So you need to support each other. Men and women need to support each other and not talk down about each other or talk down about their own genders. Especially, there's that whole stereotype of women being catty and jealous, and like women being gossipy, backstabbers. Well, not every girl is like that, but we do have a reputation to talk about others. And I think that it's always good to remind yourself to support one another instead of gossip, because the more you gossip, the less friends you have. The more you encourage, the more friends you'll probably find. Well, at least you'll find the right friends. Even if you don't find a lot of friends, you'll find the right friends. And I think that, girls may feel tempted to complain a lot, but if you are a mature woman, I think that you know to focus on the positive and only complain if somebody hurt you and you want to voice it out. But if it's just gossip, like complaining about this and that, that's not even important, might as well keep your mouth shut, because everybody has good and bad. You should focus on their good traits as much as you can. And yeah, don't judge people because you don't want to be judged. I also want to mention women's roles in society. So some jobs are overly populated by men. For example, in computer science class, my friend Tway was one of the only girls. Now, computer science, like, oh, people think, okay, computer science is like for nerds, so nerds, typical nerd is a man. Well, I don't know about that. So I actually think we should encourage more girls to get into computer science, for example, because we need to make sure women's roles in society, you can do anything you put your mind to. And same with engineering. Like, apparently there were very little girl engineers. And I think that if you want to be an engineer or a doctor or whatever the heck you want to be, you should go for it. And it's even more amazing if there are not a lot of girls in your program, because then you feel like, hey, I did it. I'm special. And conversely, I know that men feel bad if they are put in a role that's what other people think is for women. Like, for example, my wonderful boyfriend, he's a babysitter. And he felt ashamed to tell people that he was a babysitter. And in my view, I think he's great. Like, he's awesome with kids. It's good practice to be a dad for the future. And he's doing a great job, and he's making the kid happy. He's doing great in this job. And sure, he could try to find a more high paying job later on, or he's able to do other things as well. But don't be ashamed if you're a man and you're a babysitter. Like, women should not be the only babysitters around here. So, yeah, if men are being discriminated because, like, people are worried that they'll molest the kid or something, well, not every man molests kids. So, you know, obviously you have to get to know them and see how they are. But I definitely encourage guys to try working with children, because then you'll become a better dad in the future, and then you'll also have fun like with the kids. And one of my first ex-boyfriends, he was a really good babysitter as well. He was actually very interested in helping kids, and it was for ECE, like he studied ECE, early childhood education. And there was one day where I saw him put a child on his lap, and I told him, like, just be careful, because some people might judge you and say that, the kid is sitting on you, so it's kind of like inappropriate. And he got upset. And I know he got upset because he thinks, like, oh, I don't want to do what the world wants because the world is afraid of molesters. But I never told him that he wasn't allowed to babysit. I never told him he was not allowed to help kids. I was just trying to protect him, saying, don't put the kid on your lap, because, what if, a parent sees and misinterprets that, then you'll lose your job. I was trying to, like, help him, but he didn't understand. So anyways, I still love kids. Like, they can be a handful, but in any case, the next topic. So, Native women who disappear. Now, I'm not a Native person, and to be honest, haven't researched enough about this topic, but I do want to mention a little bit, because Native women are precious, and there have been cases where women have been murdered and disappeared, especially in Native communities. And unfortunately, there isn't enough being done about it, and there isn't enough media attention. It almost feels like the Native women are forgotten and not really encouraged to succeed, or, like, their safety is at higher risk. And there needs to be something done about this, because Native women are just as precious as any other culture of women. And, they're smart, they're amazing, they're beautiful. And I think that if so many women are disappearing and being murdered, like, there needs to be something done about it. And obviously, it's mostly men who are murdering these women, and we need to do something about that. Like, why are these men so angry, or why are they resorting to killing people? Like, what's going on? We need to analyze the situation and help those men to learn how to treat women well. And speaking of treating women well, there was a friend of mine who was abused by her boyfriend and got punched, and she didn't tell anyone until later on. And it makes me sad to hear these kind of stories. And of course, there are stories of men being abused by women as well, but again, women have a higher percentage of being abused, whereas a smaller percentage of men get abused. So that's why we need to raise these issues and think about, how are we treating people around here? Like, what are the ideals that you have in your head, or what kind of stereotype or judgment are you putting upon these women when you want to slap them, punch them, etc. I don't know, like, how it feels to be abused in a relationship, really, but what I do know is my parents' relationship. And in China, there's this thing called big man syndrome. Well, that's how I translate it, but big man syndrome is basically the man thinks he's the best, and that he's better than the woman, and that, women should do all the chores, and he should relax because he already went to work, and that's all he wanted to do is go to work and then come back and relax. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom for the most part, and, nothing wrong with that, but I just didn't like the way my father spoke to her sometimes. My mom was mostly submissive to my father, so she was, very patient and very cooperative with his demands. But she was the one, chopping trees and, um, mowing the grass. Yeah, she was chopping trees, something that you would think a man would do, but no, she was chopping trees. And not only mowing the lawn and chopping trees, but all the chores, dishes, laundry, vacuum, blah, 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 cooking. And if she didn't cook fast enough, my dad would yell, say, "Oh, why didn't you cook? We're on Facebook or something." Like, he wanted his food at a particular time, and if it was late, he would get mad. So that's big man syndrome. He never did any chores. Once in a while, like maybe once every 2 years, he would cook. But anyways, that's the mentality. And when he would drive us around and either on our way to church or grandma's or whatever, I would hear him say comments like, "Oh my God, that person's driving so bad. Must be a woman." Um, are you sure? Because like there are women that drive really well. I mean, girls are socialized to be more nurturing. Like maybe playing with dolls or something. That's a stereotype of, girls, you play with dolls, and play house. But boys, they like to be more active. And, well, I mean, girls can be active too, but I'm just trying to say the traditional roles. And sometimes because boys tend to play more video games or something, their orientation of directions could be a bit better than women sometimes. And it's not because women are dumb at directions, it's just the way we're socialized. We play house instead of play video games sometimes. So maybe girls have trouble learning how to drive because of that. Maybe, right? You shouldn't be judging, saying the worst drivers are women. So yeah, basically that's my little speech. But I want to encourage everyone to just remember to fight for equal rights. And I say equal rights, not women are better than men or men are better than women. So men and women are equal in rights. And we need to believe in ourselves, tell ourselves we're powerful, capable, amazing, beautiful, worthy, and we can be successful. We can achieve our goals. We can do anything we set our mind to. I wrote a book. You can too. I was able to learn music and singing. I love to sing. Do what you love and pursue your dreams. And happy International Women's Day. So thanks for listening. Have a great day.